What's up, everybody? Jaron Fritz, aka Frizzy Visuals. I'm the creative director for Colorado State Athletics with multiple years of professional sports design and photography experience. And today, I'm showing you exactly how to create a sports design portfolio that will get you hired. So I'll be walking through the exact project I built to recap my first season with Colorado State men's basketball. Whether you're trying to land your first D1 gig or just level up your presentation, your portfolio is the key that opens up that door. I'll break it down step by step, how I organize it, lay it out, build it out, export it so you can create a polished professional portfolio that actually gets the job done. And if you want more real behind the scenes content from someone actually working in D1 sports, make sure to hit that sub button. I drop videos like this every single week. Before we jump into step one, let's zoom out for a second and talk about portfolio platforms in general. There are a lot of options out there. Some cost money, some are hard to build, and some give you those weird clunky URLs. My biggest recommendation straight out of the gate has to be to start with Behance. It's directly tied to your Adobe account, which you're already paying for if you use Photoshop, so technically it's free. I personally love using Behance to discover other creatives and also showcase my own work. Everything I'm walking through today is built with Behance in mind, but the principles are applicable to whatever platform you ultimately choose. All right, let's not waste any more time. Step number one, you gotta organize your portfolio. Without a doubt, a key aspect employers look for when reviewing your portfolio is your ability to conceptualize an entire season, from preseason awards and rankings to postseason recaps and championship coverage. Demonstrating a full narrative arc is crucial. Equally important is the quality of your graphics. Strong visuals are the baseline expectation for landing an interview. As you begin organizing your portfolio, consider both the chronological flow of the season and the inclusion of your strongest, most impactful work. The organization starts before you even drop in images. Outline the best order first. It's okay to spend a lot of time on this step. Using a good skeleton will save you time in the long run. After refining, I landed on 5 main pillars. First is the conference game coverage, the backbone, with game days, starting fives, and in-game updates that shape the year's visual identity. Next came the social graphics, where I showcased some of my most creative work. I included 4 standout game posters here to transition smoothly into the larger social content section. The Mountain West package could easily lead based on impact, but I placed it deeper to keep viewers engaged. It's followed by the March Madness package, which closes the seasonal story strong. Finally, I wrap up with the marketing material section, a colorful, varied mix. While not crucial to the narrative, it's still an important piece to include. With the structure locked in, it's time to shift focus, because how you lay it out is just as important as what you show. Let's jump into step number 2, planning your layout. There's no universal formula for a portfolio layout. However, drawing from my own experience, one of the most straightforward layout approaches I had been using was groups of 2s and 3s, presenting 2 larger scale pieces followed by 3 smaller ones. This structure maintains thematic consistency while also effectively guiding the viewer through the project. I've used this method in my Wyoming print materials and my Wyoming Media Day photos. This time, however, I wanted to switch things up to give a more focused spotlight to a few of my key graphics. Out of the 40 or so social pieces I made, I landed on this cool, slightly offbeat layout to highlight my favorites. I hadn't really seen other sports designers do something like this, and I loved how it let the viewer's eyes travel down the page left to right like a little ladder. I knew I liked this layout, however, it would be good to switch it up throughout the project, so after many trial and error attempts, I landed on a basic skeleton of what I thought would look the best. Next, I jump over to my Max window finder and do a rough layout based on color and placement. I know, it might sound crazy, but it's such an easy zoomed out way to see how everything lines up color-wise. And honestly, this is where most of my time is spent planning. Alright, we've put a lot of thought into how this is all going to look. Now it's time to bring it to life. Step number 3 is where we actually start building. Now, unlike some of my other tutorials, we're not going to build this one live step by step, but I will open up the project and walk you through everything that went into it, from the title all the way down to the end credits. A few things off the bat, however. When it comes to document size, I usually start in Photoshop at 8 inches wide by 40 inches long. The final piece will eventually turn into a giant flagpole. As you can see, mine definitely got a little bit out of hand, but starting with 8 by 40 gives you a solid base, and you can always expand it as needed. Also, when starting up the project, it's important that the entire build relies on smart objects. For example, this setup allows me to easily adjust the order of the game day graphics by simply double-clicking in the smart object and replacing the content as needed. This will be done throughout the entire project, so if there are changes that need to be made, we can make them as quickly as possible. Alright, enough rambling, let's start right from the top. I added this team photo I took of the guys at the podium with a quick little breakdown explaining what you're seeing on screen. It's super simple, but I wanted to give a little bit of context before you get hit with a full wall of graphics. The pillars I referenced to earlier are represented by the large titles within the green boxes, each followed by corresponding headers. I felt this approach provided a clean, organized aesthetic that aligned well with the season's brand identity. For the game days, I made sure to keep it visually diverse, mixing up the jerseys instead of showing all green and white, and making sure to represent different skin tones across the board. For the starting fives, I went a little bit extra. I just really loved how we used those threshold style stadiums from all the conference teams, so I added an iPhone mock-up next to the big piece on the left and pulled out all those stadiums to really highlight the social, story-driven side of my work. The in-game social updates were pretty straightforward to select. I chose the graphics from our home game against Wyoming as it was likely our most impressive performance from a statistical standpoint. Now, down into our second pillar, we've got the social graphics. Kicking off with the posters, honestly, I really only made 4 comp style posters the entire season since we got super busy pumping out reactionary content, so I kept it simple, 4 big tiles with my 2 favorites front and center at the top. Then we move into the reactionary pieces. You already saw how I organized them in Finder, so from here it was really just about placing them in and making sure the overall layout felt right. It's definitely a balance figuring out which ones deserve to be in those bigger slots versus smaller ones. I'd say my top 5 favorites are probably in those first 5 big ones. Then I worked the rest into the smaller spots around them. Something to remember when doing this, it's all about the little details that really elevate the project. Like right here at the end, I've got the sign graphic that blends CSU and Miami Heat colors, and it leads perfectly into placing that Heat colored graphic underneath in the bottom corner. Those small color choices go a long way in helping your graphics feel connected and cohesive. Moving down to the Mountain West tournament package, I kept the same vibe as the reactionary pieces, not just for game days, but for the win graphics too. Honestly, I think this might be the strongest section of my whole project. A similar vibe for March Madness, except we had 1 less game day graphic and 1 more win graphic, so I just adjusted accordingly. The marketing material section is honestly kind of a mixed bag. Outside of the 4 themed promo posters up top, everything else was pretty all over the place, and honestly, that's kind of expected when working with marketing materials. You don't really want every piece to look the same, and marketing campaigns always come with a lot of colors and weird one-offs. I kind of hurried through this part because it didn't add anything earth-shattering to the season story. It was more of a, hey, I do this too. Alright, we've got everything placed, polished, and feeling solid, but we're not done just yet, because once it's built, now we've got to figure out how to get it out of Photoshop and into your portfolio platform. That takes us to step number 4, export and review. Once you scroll through the completed portfolio project, it may feel like the work is finished, but there's a couple more critical steps. You can't simply export the entire project as a single JPEG. Not only would the file size be ungodly big, but it would also prevent viewers from expanding your work and inspecting it closely. Thankfully, this has a really simple export fix. Just drop in guidelines wherever you feel there's a natural break in the project. Personally, I like to add quite a few, and when I zoom out you can see the whole thing is crisscrossed with blue lines that divide up each section cleanly. Once divided up, you will then go over to the crop in your toolbar, click and hold until more options arise. You will activate the slice tool, and then at the top of the toolbar you will select slice from guidelines. In theory, this breaks up your Photoshop document, so when you hit File, Export, Save to Web, then save again, it will export all your divided up sections as individual JPEGs without having to go through and crop things manually. Then you can head over to your Behance project and start dropping those bad boys in. And the good thing about doing it this way is they export in order, so it really should take you no time at all. From start to finish, we just broke down exactly how I built my men's basketball portfolio for the 24-25 season. From roughing it out in the Notes app to final uploads on Behance, that's the full playbook I use step by step to bring this thing to life. Remember, every design portfolio is different. It's all about your style, your voice, and what you want to showcase. If you are interested in the project we walked through today, I will link that at the top of the description below. And if you grabbed even one takeaway, smash like, hit subscribe, drop your portfolio link. I'd love to check it out. Until next time.